Hello, my name is Elham Moaveni of Moaveni Law, and this is Legal Rights, exclusively on CIB24.com. We will be addressing legal matters and answering your questions. When would you decide to go to court for a client? Going to court for a client involves an exchange between the client and yourself, but it's a good time to go to court when you haven't been able to resolve a case and attempts to resolution have not worked, and you're willing to fight for what you believe entitles you to money or financial gain or benefit or some sort of a win. And if that is the case and your client has deep pockets and is willing to go ahead, then it's a case that you could go ahead and go to court. You never ever go to court on a principle to prove something, and you never go to court if you have no money. About how much money is it for the common person to seek professional legal advice? The amount of money that a person would pay for a case to go to trial or to court is based on the billable hours of the lawyer. So depending on the experience of counsel that you retain, it could be junior counsel who recently graduated, their range would be $200 to about $275, and these are Toronto rates that I'm talking about. Or a senior counsel, most senior counsel would charge perhaps about $450 to $800 an hour. And so you as a client would have to choose who is it that has the expertise for your potential case, and how much money are you willing to pay for your case to go ahead. What sort of questions do you get asked most often regarding family law cases? I love my family law clients because the most common question is, I want you to get him. Can you get him? This isn't about revenge. This is about getting what you're entitled to. And of course, in all family law situations, there's no win-win. There's always a losing case, and you lose on both sides because there's a breakup of a family. And if there are children, then of course there's considerations to be made with those children as well. And so of course they come back to reality. You never ever fight for principle or revenge. You have to look at it logically. What was the worst case you have ever taken on as a legal practitioner? I've been practicing for approximately 13 years, and a lot of it has been in family law, and I would say because there's a lot of emotions in family law, one of the worst cases that I recall involved a father who had removed his child from a jurisdiction of Ontario and taken him somewhere where we couldn't reach him, and was outside the reach of the Hague Convention, which is a convention for kidnapped children. And so in that circumstance, I was in a position where I would have to tell my client, well, it's not a good thing, bring the child back. In front of the court, I would explain the reasons for what he had done and his actions. So I would say that was probably the worst case I've ever had. Is there any case you would reject? Of course there's a case that I would reject. If a case is a non-winning case and there's no merit to a case, I would not take it to court and I would not accept fees for it. Recently I had a case where a woman was stressed out because the bank had not given her a mortgage. And so because the bank had not approved her for a mortgage, she felt that she had a case against the bank. And so of course I advised her, there's no merit to the case because you have not been approved for the mortgage on the grounds that you perhaps don't have enough income. So generally, I don't enjoy taking a case where I see no merit and no reason for accepting a case. So for those cases, I'd say, no, I can't take your case. But there's other lawyers that might take a case like that, and that's an example of a case I would reject. What is the most bizarre case you have had in court? I recall one bizarre case where I was in court watching it, and it was in the small claims court. The lawsuit involved a fortune teller who had taken $2,000 from a woman to tell her future. So it was whether in tarot cards or whatever, $2,000. And the fortune teller had told her various things that had not come true. But she was suing now based on the contract and the exchange of money, where she didn't get what she wanted from the fortune. And so of course you can imagine the judge's face as to what kind of law he would apply to that. And I thought that perhaps that was the most bizarre case I've ever had. Thank you for joining us in this week's installment of Legal Rights, only on CIB24.com. If there are any questions you'd like answered, please send them to info@CIB24.com. I'm Elham Moaveni, and stay out of trouble.